We can speak now to Danielle Bett, Communications Director at Yachad, a British Jewish organisation supporting a political resolution to the conflict between the Israelis and the Palestinians. She joins us now from Tel Aviv. Danielle, hello to you.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Just on that clip that we heard a moment ago from a member of the Religious Zionist Party, what is that view? Quite widespread, do you think?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think it's a preposterous comment that we should decide on how to win the war according to what Palestinians might consider an Israeli victory. That's nothing about how to keep Israelis safe, and it's not saying anything about security and long-term planning. So no, I think that's not a widespread view. He's also not actually offered a plan. He's thrown out the number of 45%, but he said it's something that we can discuss because they don't actually have a plan beyond saying that Palestinians should be encouraged to leave.
What do you make of the plan that's been touched on today by the Israeli Defence Minister, then, this idea that there should be limited Palestinian rule within the territory?
Yeah, so when you compare Gallant's plan to many of the statements coming out with the far right in Israel, it doesn't seem as terrible, though I realize it's a very low bar. It's a short to medium-term plan. It suggests a military occupation, and as you say, it talks about civil administration being still in the hands of Palestinians, although it doesn't exactly say which Palestinians. So it doesn't refer to Fatah or to the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank being part of the discussions, which is obviously very problematic. I think most people will welcome with relief the fact that Gallant's plan explicitly says that there won't be Israeli settlements in the West Bank, and there also won't be a transfer of Palestinian populations. And again, I know that's setting a low bar, but that's the government with which we're working. The biggest issue with the plan is that it gives no path to long-term resolutions or to a two-state solution. And it doesn't suggest any engagement with the Palestinians on how either the day-to-day running of Gaza happens or how we reach a long-term peace between Israelis and Palestinians.
Just on the subject, you mentioned the government with which we're working. Netanyahu's government domestically under a lot of pressure. Is it possible, do you think, Danielle, to reach any kind of long-term solution while this government is still in place, the government that was there when the attacks took place on October the 7th?
No, absolutely not. This government has failed us in every sense, both domestically and on security issues. It's clear that Israelis do not trust this current government. Surveys shows that people on the right wing as well don't support this government. Netanyahu would not be able to form a coalition or win an election if one were held any time in the near future. And many people are calling for an election to be held once this war is over. But it's not just whether they're able to offer a resolution, but also they simply don't want a long-term resolution. It's clear this government don't want a Palestinian state. They don't want a two-state solution, but haven't actually offered any alternative plan.
And you can't speak for all Israelis, but broadly, what is the mood at the moment, do you think? For example, let's discuss a two-state solution that has a lot of traction internationally, but certainly not with Netanyahu and his team, it would seem, at the moment. But how far are we further away from that than we ever have been?
I think we're further away, but there is an opportunity here because people realize that managing the conflict has failed us and that the status quo has failed us on security in tremendous ways that we couldn't have imagined. Listen, I'll be honest, most people aren't in a mood for talking about peace and reconciliation, but I think that's understandable considering the trauma of what happened on the 7th of October, the ongoing issue of hostages still being held. There is no trust. So it's something that does have to be built. We need leaders who, rather than focusing on winning elections and spreading populist messages, will actually give a better option for the future. And so I think it's not down to the Israeli public just to believe in peace, but the Israeli public deserve leaders who will actually provide that path and make it possible.
But I'm wondering how domestically Israel can square the circle of finding a solution that's palatable to everyone when we hear people from the far right there and others who want to be far more conciliatory to the Palestinians. The internal debate within Israel, where might that lead us?
I think realistically what's going to have to happen for a long-term resolution is there needs to be an election here. And once an election happens and there's a change in government, then you will also have a government most likely led by a center to center-right party, but in coalition with the left as well. And a government like that is also a government that will be far more open to working with the international communities, working with the Palestinian Authority, one would hope, and also be able to be pressurized to create a long-term resolution, because that is in the best interest. And I think that even looking at Gallant's plan, while it's very far from perfect and not something that I would endorse, it's a recognition that these statements of getting rid of the Palestinians and of resettling the Gaza Strip are not only useless populist statements, but very dangerous and not security focused. And I think that once the political spectrum shifts and we have a government that the international community can work with, then we can really start building the path that will allow for peace.
In a sentence, how does the situation look then in a world which appeals to all sides of this, all the many-headed sides of this argument?
I think that peace has become a word that's taboo, but there's a lot of work to be done. And only peace processes have gotten us security in the past, and it's only what will get us security in the future.
Danielle, thank you. Danielle Bett from Yachad, they're a British Jewish organisation, as we've said, supporting a political resolution to that conflict in Israel, between Israel and the Palestinians.